made 2 billion with a secret. Then I spent 100 million yuan to book 10,000 tables for a banquet. Everyone thought I was flaunting my wealth like a nouveau riche. My fiancé even called me crazy. But only I knew that in half a month, due to nocturne country's discharge of nuclear waste, a global virus outbreak would occur, turning 80% of the population into zombies. Plants and animals would also mutate. And only a small number of people will develop superpowers to resist the zombies. Some would touch ice and snow and become ice queens, freezing everything. Some would touch steel and awaken the ability to control metal, establishing the Iron Fortress. Some would awaken superhuman physical abilities, able to move freely among millions of zombies. I accidentally awakened a space ability, which allowed me to survive the apocalypse. Because once the apocalypse comes, food will be scarce, and without food, survival is impossible. With my space ability, I stored a vast amount of supplies and saved many survivors. However, the saying the virtuous die first in the apocalypse proved true. My kindness was not repaid. They tied me up while I slept. They found out I had awakened an immortal bloodline. Not only could it heal wounds from zombie bites, but it also had a high chance of awakening superpowers in ordinary people. In the apocalypse, my bloodline was like a miraculous elixir, and everyone wanted a piece of me. So countless syringes pierced my body to draw my blood. Then those I had saved, like zombies, frantically licked my flesh and blood. Even my beloved fiancée and her lover drained the last drop of my blood. In the end, my body was thrown into a pot by my fiancé's brother and boiled into soup. As I lay dying, my heart was filled with hatred. I only told my fiancée the secret of my blood, even letting her drink it twice. I took care of her family wholeheartedly during the apocalypse, yet she repaid me like this. If I had another chance, I would never be a doormat again, nor help others like a saint. And the heavens seemed to hear my plea, as I was reborn, still half a month before the apocalypse. My previous life space ability was preserved, though my immortal bloodline was gone. But with just the space ability, I could still thrive in the apocalypse. In the apocalypse, a box of instant noodles could make a movie star bow her head to you. If I stockpiled tens of thousands of tons of supplies, I could easily ride out the apocalypse. My phone beeped with a message from my girlfriend. Dear, my brother is coming over with his girlfriend. Make sure to arrange something nice, at least a 5-star hotel. I've bragged that you're the CEO of an international company. Also, my brother likes a house worth 300,000, don't make me lose face. Hearing my fiancée Vanessa's familiar voice, I was so angry I wanted to kill this despicable woman immediately. But with half a month left until the apocalypse, the most important thing was stockpiling supplies. Killing her now and getting caught wasn't worth it. Let them live for another half month. When the apocalypse comes and order collapses, I'll have plenty of chances to torture them. So I gritted my teeth and replied with one word, okay. The next day, the restaurant owner and waiters looked at me mockingly. It was not even 10 a.m., yet I was wolfing down food like a starving ghost. But I didn't care about their strange looks. In the 3 years of the apocalypse, I never had a hot meal. So after my rebirth, I had to have a good meal. Check, please. The restaurant owner, Gavin Blackwood, lived in the same neighborhood as me. In the previous life, after the apocalypse hit, his mother, using her position as the neighborhood committee director, forced everyone to hand over their food for distribution. I was one of the victims. When people resisted, they colluded with security guards to rob every household, not just for food but also for pretty women. So I planned to start with them. If I bought up all their reserves, they'd starve to death. So I asked, can you prepare 1,000 tables for a banquet soon? Gavin's eyes lit up, and he eagerly nodded. I immediately paid a deposit of $200,000 and agreed to pay the rest in half a month. But in half a month, the apocalypse would arrive, order would collapse, and no one would care about the money. And Gavin, hearing the payment term was only half a month, readily agreed. After all, we lived in the same neighborhood, so he wasn't worried about me running away. We signed the contract. After dining twice at the restaurant, I hurried to the Lumine building. To stockpile a large amount of supplies, I didn't have enough funds. But a person who fought side by side with me in the previous life came to mind. She was also the feared Ice Queen. If it weren't for her saving me, I would have died from mutated beasts. Now, she was the CEO of Pruxton City's Lumine Corp. In the lobby, after shouting Aurora Frost's name, I walked towards a golden elevator. The security guard instinctively tried to stop me, even reaching for his gun, but ultimately didn't follow. The golden elevator was the CEO's private elevator. Without a password, no one could enter. Only 3 people in the company knew the password. At the elevator, I entered a series of numbers. The next moment, the door opened. I stepped into the elevator under the surprised gaze of the security guard. In her office, Aurora was also stunned, coldly watching the surveillance footage of me. Lumine Corp had military ties and was a top company in the country. No one had dared to intrude before. Today, this stranger not only got in but also knew the password. She was angry and puzzled at the same time. Lumine Corp's core business is developing cutting-edge military technology, and all technical information is stored here. If something goes wrong here, the consequences would be dire. Aurora ordered the downstairs staff to be on alert. She glanced at the gun in her right drawer. As a former soldier, she was confident in handling this uninvited guest. I stepped out of the elevator and into her office. Aurora was even more shocked to see me sitting directly opposite her as if I knew the place well. Aurora gave me a cold glance. Who are you? Who I am doesn't matter. What matters is I have a deal you'll be interested in, a deal that can save Lumine Corp. Aurora laughed. You saving Lumine Corp is as likely as pigs flying. Her initial tension faded, now sure I was a fool. Her grandfather was a retired high-ranking military official, and Lumine Corp was a leading military tech company. With annual revenue and profits growing steadily, there was no crisis. Yet this madman claimed he could save Lumine Corp. It was laughable. But I remained calm. In the drawer to your right is a Type 92 pistol, capable of penetrating 1.3mm steel at 50 meters. However, it only has 3 bullets left. Aurora's shocked expression made me smile. In the previous life, when the apocalypse began, Lumine Corp's advanced security system withstood the zombie onslaught, becoming the largest human survivor base in Pruxton City. I lived there for a while and fought alongside this icy CEO, forming a bond through countless life and death battles. Thus, I was familiar with this building and knew Aurora's secrets. How do you know this? Aurora's face turned serious. Only her closest confidants knew such details. I ignored her question. I also know your grandfather named Lumine Corp. You have the world's most advanced AI soldier robots. And an advanced security system. More importantly, key national facilities use Lumine Corp's security system, including the power center in the Solara country. If these core technologies fell into enemy hands, it would be disastrous for both Lumine Corp and Solara country. Recently, someone broke into this office and copied all the company's technology and security data. If I'm not mistaken, you haven't found the culprit yet. Aurora grabbed the gun from the drawer and aimed it at me. This wasn't just Lumine Corp's secret but a national top secret. If these data were leaked, the Solara country's power center would be severely threatened. Facing Aurora's threat, I remained calm. This is a minor issue. The real problem is that Lumine Corp will soon be swallowed by other companies. If you pay 2 billion, I will help you find the culprit and save Lumine Corp. Aurora didn't lower the gun, still staring at me. Why should I trust you? She had investigated and found it was indeed an inside job but hadn't identified the culprit yet. Seeing her doubt, I made a concession. I'll help you find the mole and save Lumine Corp first. If you think it's worth it, pay me 2 billion. If not, consider it a good deed. Aurora finally sighed in relief, slowly lowering her gun. Then tell me, who is it? What crises does Lumine Corp face? The data was copied in this office. And the only way to access it is through this elevator. So the perpetrator must know the password. Besides Secretary Emily and you, only Office Director Victor knows the password. The data was copied by either Victor or Secretary Emily, or they collaborated. I pretending to analyze the case. Aurora was shocked at how much I knew about the company, even the elevator password holders. If it were that simple, we would have solved the case. Before the data was stolen, Director Victor and I hadn't been to the office. Secretary Emily also laughed dismissively. True, the elevator surveillance shows they were cleared of suspicion. Aurora felt disappointed, thinking I might bring some surprise. But I wasn't flustered. What if Director Victor and Secretary Emily replaced the surveillance footage? With today's face-swapping technology, it wouldn't be hard to alter the footage. My words enlightened Aurora. Secretary Emily's eyes showed a hint of panic, but she still retorted, Lumine Corp's security system is world-class. Hackers can't break in, and even if someone did, the system would record it. There was no sign of hacking around the time the data was stolen. I smiled at Secretary Emily. If the hacker is an internal tech person, why are you so nervous? Feeling guilty? The next moment, Secretary Emily rushed to the desk, reaching for the gun. Her agile movements were a stark contrast to her usual meek demeanor. But as she grabbed the gun, I kicked it away. Aurora picked up the gun and aimed it at Secretary Emily. So it was you. Terrified, Secretary Emily knelt. I had no choice. If I didn't do as they said, they'd kill my family. Before she could finish, Aurora shot her. No wonder she became the fearsome Ice Queen in the apocalypse, this wasn't her first kill. But I was puzzled. Why not keep her alive for more information? Aurora shook her head. Betrayal is the worst sin, she said, blowing Secretary Emily's brains out. Aurora now believed me, asking who the other culprit was. Office Director Victor has long been bought by Nocturne Country's UmbraCorp. The project with UmbraCorp is a ruse. Developing it requires a 200 billion loan. UmbraCorp plans to steal the technology, then withdraw funding once the project starts, causing Lumine Corp to lose both technology and funds. UmbraCorp would then buy Lumine Corp cheaply. I revealed everything I knew from the previous life. Aurora still had doubts. What evidence do you have to prove this? Investigate Secretary Emily and Victor's recent assets. Also, the stolen data is still in this office, I said confidently. Aurora was surprised but soon realized. The strict security made it hard to take data out, so it being here was plausible. She ordered an investigation into their assets, quickly finding them suspiciously wealthy. Aurora, now furious, ordered the security team to arrest Victor. And locked down the building. I smiled at Aurora. Now, do you believe this gift is worth 2 billion? Aurora nodded slightly, ready to transfer the money. But I had a new request. Just transfer 500 million. Buy the supermarket across the street and give it to me. Aurora looked at me. The supermarket isn't expensive, I'll give it to you for free. After all, you just saved Lumine Corp. I interrupted her. Also, build a 4-meter-high wall around it. And install Lumine Corp's security system. Prepare a batch of supplies for me. Finish it in 10 days. I handed over a prepared list. Aurora was surprised. This guy went through all this trouble for just 500 million and a supermarket. But after seeing the list, her face darkened. The wall's foundation had to be a meter deep, made with 100 millimeters thick steel, 100 high-power generators, 100 high-power solar generators, 100 tons of diesel, 1,000 beds. And even 5 wheeled combat vehicles. 10 sets of single-soldier combat robots. The rest were easy. But the WP equipment was tricky. Lumine Corp strictly controlled WP, Aurora sternly said. I persisted. Keep the WP equipment at the supermarket for 15 days, then take it back. Monitor them, I won't touch them. Seeing my determination, Aurora hesitated but agreed, thinking nothing would happen under their surveillance. With my goal achieved, I left my bank account and departed. After I left, Aurora ordered an investigation on me. Given my knowledge, my identity couldn't be simple. But when she got my file, she was stunned.